Good day, viewers. Welcome to Fraction TV. Keep watching, keep learning. Hey, remember, when it starts, don't touch that dial. Okay.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to Fraction TV. Keep watching, keep learning. In today's video, I'll be letting out some important topics commonly set in WAEC mathematics exam. In this particular video, I'll be placing more emphasis on section B, and I'll be talking about commonly set topics in section B. Now, some of the commonly set topics in section B are: 1. We have the longitude and the latitude. There is no way you write WAEC exam without seeing question based on what longitude and what latitude. Because of that, as student preparing for WAEC, it is your duty to actually place more emphasis on longitude and what latitude. Number 2, probability. In section B, you'll be having question based on probability involving the use of what your sample what space. You'll be having questions on probability with and without, collections of different samples with and without. Now, in section B, you will be having questions based on what statistics, and the question based on statistics, questions that are expected to see in section B will involve your cumulative frequency graph. In your cumulative frequency graph, there are some certain questions you are expected to solve in your cumulative frequency graph. Such questions are: number 1, we have what is called the percentile, we have the decile, we have the quartile, we have the semi-quartile. You can ask you to indicate all these particular position using your cumulative frequency frequency graph. Now, there are some certain questions you are expected to see when it is involving statistics. Such questions are your mean, your standard deviation, your mean deviation, and your variance. Well, you can decide to set the question using two different perspectives. The first one, they can decide to set question based on your cumulative frequency graph, application of your cumulative frequency graph. Under that section, they'll be checking for percentile, they'll be checking for decile, they'll be checking for your semi-quartile. Or they can also decide to ask questions from your mean deviation, your standard deviation, and your variance. When you have such question, the only thing you're expected to know, just know the formula, you're good to go. Now, some commonly set topics again: bearing. Now, when you are preparing for your mathematics exam, place more attention on bearing, because questions on bearing are commonly set in section B. Now, some commonly set topic in section B is construction. Now, there is no way you'll be writing your WAEC exam. Place more emphasis on construction, because construction is commonly set in section B. And remember that every question in section B carries 12 marks. Place more attention on section B. Now, some commonly set question in section B happens to be your variation. Now, when we are talking about variation, the questions can actually be from direct, it can be from inverse, it can be from joint variation. Those are the kind of questions to be expected from variation. Now, some commonly set topics in section B can also be your AP and your GP, your sequence. They can also ask questions based on set, application of Venn diagram. Those are the types of questions to be expected in section B. In your section B, you are also expected to study your quadratic graph and your trigonometric graph. Those are the two common graphs that is commonly set in your WAEC exam. Your quadratic graph. You practice your quadratic graph. Under your quadratic graph, there are some certain things you're expected to note. You note your scale, you note your title, make sure that the curve is evenly distributed. So are the things the examiners are actually checking for. Now, you also have another type of graph which is also known as the trigonometric graph. The graphical section can be in two forms. It can either be a quadratic graph or trigonometric graph. Well, you can also decide to set inequality graph. Because of that, place more attention on your graphical aspect of mathematics: your quadratic, your trigonometry, and your inequality graph. Now, another important part WAEC always place emphasis on when it comes to section B happens to be your angle of elevation angle of depression. Expect question from those areas. Application of trigonometry. You will have your angle of elevation, angle of depression, your bearing. Those are related to tree. Now, some commonly set topic in section B can also be your what? Binary what? Functions. Can also set questions on what? Binary functions. There are some, those are the type of question to be expected in what? In section B.